العوافي يا جماعة, and welcome to another episode of تمشى مع Brian. So I'd like to consider that maybe today or this episode would be kind of the quote-unquote launching of this podcast. And it's pretty convenient since it's on the start of 2026. And so with that بحب عيد الكل اللي عم بيتسمع اليوم, بنقلكن Merry Christmas و Happy New Year, وينعاد عليكم وعلى عيالكم, وإن شاء الله بتكون هالسنة سنة خير علينا كلنا هيك بيقولوا. And so I thought that with today's podcast we'll have a reintroduction or more of a proper introduction to what this is for anyone that's joining us that's new. So the podcast, أول شيء أنا اسمي إبراهيم براين الشامي, للي بيعرفني واللي ما بيعرفني تشرفنا. And the point behind this whole thing is that every couple of days or so I go on a walk for 20 to 30 minutes approximately, and during that period we have a little chat about some random topics. And so I think with today what we'll probably talk about is more or less kind of how we feel about moving into the new year. I always like New Year, to be honest. It's kind of like the official start of a new chapter to everyone living on the planet, obviously. And it's usually quite efficient in reminding people kind of their priorities in life. Like a lot of people بيستعملوا راس السنة بيقولوا هيدي الحركة quote unquote New Year's New Me, which a lot of people follow through with that, and they do actually commit to making some changes in their lives into the new year. And so I was thinking about this today, like with it being the start of the new year, what kind of things do I want to increase or do I want to change about myself? لحتى بالآخر نحن to get to 2027 a more improved version of Brian. A lot of people put career goals, physical goals, relationship goals. Everything is on the table. But I think more or less I have like a broad idea of not like specific goals, but more of a general change in self for the year of 2026. And I think the first thing, which is something that I've been recently trying to do quite often, is... So the best way I can relate this message to someone is by asking them, or by asking you guys, if any of you have watched the movie Yes Man by Jim Carrey, where it's a simple comedy about a man who used to constantly say no to everything, and then all of a sudden one day he gets stuck on having to say yes on any question he's asked. And you see how his life completely and dramatically changes because of that. Now I understand, obviously this is a movie and it's over exaggerated, blah blah blah, sure. But I think throughout my life, I think one thing that I've learned from trying out new things is that there's two ways they can end. You either succeed and do it well, or you don't and you learn a lesson. And for me, I think I see both of those conclusions as a positive. So when you kind of, or the way I want to enter 2026 is kind of with less fear of the unknown and just trying out new things. And one big example is probably this podcast. And it's just like always kind of challenging yourself with something you never thought you would do, or something that seemed crazy for you to do. Well, maybe if you put your mind to it, or you decide genuinely that I want to do this or I want to focus on that, you can do it as well. So I think that's one of the new things, is just to constantly be open to new experiences and how they might change and affect people. And on the subject of that, I read this quote yesterday by Anthony Bourdain, and I'm gonna find that quote right now. It's on my phone somewhere, because I want to read it, because it's quite nice. So it goes: eat at the local restaurant tonight, get the cream sauce, have a cold pint at 4 o'clock in a mostly empty bar, go somewhere you've never been, listen to someone you think may have nothing in common with you, order the steak rare, eat an oyster, have a Negroni, have two, be open to a world where you may not understand or agree with the person next to you, but have a drink with them anyways. Eat slowly, tip your server, check in on your friends, check in on yourself, and enjoy the ride. And basically, like, if you want to break this down to what this is just a list of random actions to do. But the intent behind them is this: that some of them are not just like he's showing you that you need to try out these things, or that you will see a beauty in life when you constantly go like, you know what, yeah, I haven't had a beer at 4 o'clock in the morning, but it's probably something that I should, or I would like to do. Not as an event itself, but as in, like, you go out, you have such a good time that you're still there and you're drinking till 4 a.m. in a cold bar or something like that. So to try all of these new things and to generally use them as kind of life lessons. So I think that's definitely one of the things that I have been working on, and I think I want to, because I've seen the results of what could happen to when you do something like this. I think I want to keep doing that, and you never know. Like, there's a very I admire this person a lot, and I think the majority of the audience that will be listening to this today would know his name. His name is John Ashar, and he's a Lebanese stand-up comedian. And I've watched him twice here in Sydney, and both times fucking hilarious. And I take my hat off to John, of course. But one of the things that I love about John the most is not the fact that he's a good stand-up comedian. That's irrelevant. Him being a stand-up comedian is amazing. But the reason really why I appreciate this person and what he's done and the inspiration he sends to everyone is because John, for the majority of the life, had kind of studied and gone into the world of business and consulting, and he was a completely different person. And then at one point in his life, he decided to give stand-up comedy a try and discovered this new wonderful world that's inside him. And yesterday I saw that he was doing stand-up, or probably was in the Comedy Cellar, and I'm looking at this and I'm going like, this is insane. The trajectory of this person's life is how he decided one day to try something and it excelled in this completely different direction. And it just shows that it's never too late. It's never too late for you to try something new. It's never too late for you to discover something new that might give a whole different and new meaning to your life. And that's what I credit John Ashar for for showing me that it's okay for you to spend parts of your life working on something, but that doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you're good at, and it doesn't mean that that's the only thing that will give your life meaning. So, and the only way you'll find those things out is by just constantly trying out new things until one day you go like, you know what, this one kind of feels nice. And so I think that's why for this year, more exposure to new events is definitely a plus. And I think the second thing that I would like to have kind of happen this year would be just to generally be more considerate with everyone around you in your environment. Just, I think for me, there's a show named Ted Lasso, which I think some of you might have watched, but in that show they mentioned a quote by Walt Whitman, which is be curious and not judgmental. And it's so short, but it's so profound, because we're always quick to assume something about another person without taking the time to be curious and to kind of place ourselves in their shoes. Because when you do that, and when you practice this exercise, you start to realize that it's not as easy as we make it seem. And there's a word which is sonder, so S-O-N-D-E-R, which comes to mind. And the word means sonder means that it's the realization that everyone around you, their life is just as complicated and as complex as yours. And when you have this realization, you realize that just as they are kind of background characters in your story, in your life, you are background characters in their life story. And sometimes it helps you understand people a lot better. So someone comes in and they're angry, and you don't know why, but you're pissed at them that they're angry. But you don't know what's driving his anger. Maybe there was something that happened before he met you. Maybe he was walking down the street and someone almost hit him with a car and he got upset. Like, it could be a lot of things. And so when you take the time, when you see someone that's kind of agitated or they're upset or something like that, when you take the time to be curious rather than judgmental, like Walt Whitman says, you might understand his point of view and then in turn be able to help them calm down, because you can kind of relate with them on that topic. And so I think that's one more thing that I kind of would like to add about myself this year, is just to take more time into being curious and asking questions, especially when it comes to meeting new people, because it just helps you understand them better, and then in turn helps kind of you just be a better human being, as a finer point. But these kind of 2 points, so the increasing in curiosity and the increasing of jumping headfirst into new challenges, are the 2 new things that I want to work on quite a bit this year. But also I think one of the things that I'm gonna start this year is this podcast itself, which coincidentally I'm given the opportunity to start fresh on the beginning of 2026 And I thought I would take some time as to kind of tell you guys about my introduction into this whole thing. And it all started when I was in uni. كنت أنا تلميذ ألبا ألبا بالكورة إجت سنة, I forget the year, Energy Lebanon, the radio station, were looking for a new host. And so what they did was they made this little bus and they put inside like a mic and a booth, and they were traveling around university campuses to audition people to try it out. And so when it came to our university, a group of my friends, you guys know who you are. I'm not gonna mention every single one of you, but you guys know who you are if you're listening to this, and I love you guys. So they pushed me on and we gave it a try. We went in there. It was fucking embarrassing. I cussed on the mic like 6-7 times. Like the lady literally had to tell me, like, you sir, you need to, like, please لا بقى تسب هالقد يعني ولو شوي. But I was that nervous. And I remember the topic that I talked about was Leonardo DiCaprio and the Oscars, and I think he didn't win one that year or something like that. But anyway, so we gave it a go, and this kind of also enforces the idea of just constantly trying something new. And then 6 months or 7 months later, after everyone had given up hope, like I'd forgotten about it, and they call and they say, look, we're actually doing this TV show where we're going to make it look like it's a game show, and you and other people are going to come in and we're going to try to see who's going to be the new host for Energy. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll go try it out. So we went down to, if anyone, for the people that know Lebanon, كان بالMTV بتضيع. And so I go there, I start doing like the activities, and we're having fun. I meet new people, and I had 2 friends of mine as well from uni who kind of joined in. And then at one point, I wanted just to kind of make sure, and I asked one of I think the producers or the set designers there, and I was like, if I win this or if this goes through, what is expected? Like, what's the job? And they go, oh, well, basically you're going to be expected to be here at like 5 a.m. every day. And I lived like an hour away, and uni and everything. And I look back at this decision today and I say, maybe that's what, at that point I could have picked this or that, but that's when I chose to focus on my university. So I told her, no, I won't be able to commit to that time frame. And so we just did that. I ended up kind of being eliminated from that game show. And it went on, and actually one of the 2 people, her name is Nadine, shout out to Nadine, who did this with me as well. She actually became one of those hosts. And so since then, a lot of people have kind of always encouraged me to do this, always pushed me towards doing something like this. And so I decided to give it a go. I decided to do something that will kind of reflect genuinely what I am, and also just kind of simplifying it to the point where it's just a walk where we talk about the most random things. And I want this it's 20 minutes. You could do this while you're doing your dishes. You can do this while you're doing some random chores, or even if you want, you can do this while going on a walk like me. And the idea is just to kind of share thoughts, and I hope that in the future we'll have more episodes where I will go on walks with other people with me to kind of get their insights and their point of views and their stories, because it's always nice to listen to other people's opinions and to kind of appreciate that the world goes in 2 ways. And also, I would like most of the people here, or most of you guys that are listening, to kind of voice in some requests on subjects. What would you like me to talk about? Or if there's something that you liked and we'd like to have another episode about it, we definitely do that as well. I've already, for all of you who are going to be joining us or joining me new, I've already kind of have like 5 episodes before, and we're starting to build the rhythm, and we'll get it running soon. But I think maybe this year is the year that I try this thing and really genuinely put in an honest effort to make it work and to kind of spread my voice with your help, of course. So again, I would like to thank everyone for the support that you guys have given me. And like I said before, there's a lot of people, I'm not gonna name them, but you know yourselves if you're listening to this, and I genuinely want to say thank you so much. بحبكن قد الدنيا. يلا عم نشيل one step at a time. عم بشيل هالإجر وعم بحطها بالعتمة. We're trying this new thing, and we'll see how it goes. So again, I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and a blessed one for you and your families and your loved ones. And خلينا نضلنا عم نتمشى مع براين. Thank you guys for everything. وهيك, until next time.